Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Bravery Behind the Brand podcast. And today I have with me my lovely friend, Angela Santiago. Hello, Angela.
How's it going?
Wonderful. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I'm so looking forward to this podcast today.
Me too. And I'm thrilled that you're finally joining me on my podcast. So, before we get stuck in, I'm going to ask you my famous three questions before we get stuck into your business. So, do you have a motivational song? And I will be adding it to the Spotify playlist that we have that accompanies this podcast.
Oh, wow. Okay, so I have so many of them. I sometimes don't know where to go and to answer that question, but two of them actually come to my mind. Is that okay?
Of course.
So the first one is Dancing in the Moonlight. That is a really peppy, snappy song, and that just lifts my spirit, especially when I have a day that is a little bit like, a little bit iffy, and that just kind of really gets the beat going, and it just makes me happy. And the other one is called I Will Survive by Gloria Gaynor. And now I'm kind of telling a little bit on my age because both songs were, I guess, written way back in the 70s sometimes. To me, this is a really, really empowering songs for women like of all ages, really, if you think about it. And it's almost like it gives us permission to believe that we are so much stronger than sometimes we often believe that we are, but it also helps to set boundaries. It gives us this permission to set boundaries. That song, I mean, I remember every time when they came on, I was singing that song on top of my lungs.
I can't imagine there's not a woman on the planet who hasn't actually stood to attention and sang that song and meant every single word.
I knew every word. Yes, I did.
That is a great choice. I don't think they're currently on the playlist, but they're definitely going on. No, brilliant choices. I love those, Angela. And do you have a motivational quote?
Well, I actually do, and I don't know if anybody has ever come up with it, but I came up with that probably 16, 17 years ago. And that was I keep moving forward with ease. That was something that I shared way back when with a group of people that I used to meet on a regular basis, and I taught them energy work and aromatherapy. And that was just something that has always kind of stood out to me. And it kind of reminds us to uh, where I want to be, not where I'm at this moment, just to making progress. And that progress doesn't have to be hard, it can be easy and effortless.
Mhm. I like that. I move forward. Yeah, I like that. That is very, very empowering, and it just, yeah, I like it makes you not feel stuck.
Yes, sometimes when we feel we're getting into this feeling and into this, like, what we're starting to kind of feel like we're getting tangled up in whatever situation that we're in, then just saying this, it almost starts to shift your mind into a more positive way instead of going down the spiral. At least that I had the experience
Yeah.
while doing this. And I recite my own quotes. Yes, I do.
And you gave me one that I still have as well. So thank you. Yeah, I like that. I move forward with these. And do you read? I'm being
I
nosy
love
now.
to read. Oh my gosh, I'm a bookworm. I read all the time.
Are you reading anything at the moment that's worth sharing?
At this moment, not, but I have a favorite book, and I think this is the all-time favorite. Although I like to read psychology books, I like to read books on aromatherapy, self-help books, a lot of things. This particular book is written by Jeanette Walls. No, it's Jeanette, yes, Jeanette Walls, and the book and it's a memoir, and the book is called The Glass House. No, again, wrong. The Glass Castle. I apologize. Jeanette Walls, The Glass Castle. This is an attention grabbing book, to say the least. It is basically gives you insight on the resilience that we actually have on the inside and how to overcome hardship. It is an amazing book, and it's basically, I'm going to just share a teeny weeny tiny snippet. It's Jeanette, she talks about when she was small and had two older siblings and how she grew up in this tumultuous, crazy life that she had. It was a totally house of dysfunction. And she survived all of this. And at the very end, there is a twist to the story. It is very unexpected. So I'm going to leave you all in suspense with that. But it basically gives us perspective, what is important to us and how we want to live our lives, and that we don't have to be in despair, but we can be in victory. We don't have to be in misery, but live in joy. Or instead of being in defeat, we can just live in harmony and have this inner peace. So this is what this book is all about. It is mind-blowingly fabulous.
I love the sound of it, and it's going on my list. And I love it when people remind you that, life is hard and it doesn't always go the way we want it, but we always have to remember we have a choice on how we deal with it. You can choose to wallow and get sucked into the negativity, or you can choose to learn from it and move on. And I love that reminder because it's very easy to get stuck and drawn into negativity. But I like the sound of that book, and that is going on my list. Now,
Yeah,
do you read physical books, or do you read a Kindle, or do you listen to audiobooks, or is it a mixture?
I love me a real book where I can circle,
Mel.
underline, highlight, make notes on it. This is just what I do, and I love it. And even if I don't go back to this book right away, but maybe even in a year or 2 years later, if I reread it or I just open it, there are like little snippets that are highlighted or wrote little notes, and they give me some reminders of why I made that little mark on there. And those are just really lovely reminders of that book and the highlights, more or less.
I have three. I have physical books, and then I have Kindle books, and then I have audiobooks. And it's a good job that I don't have all physical books because I'd probably need a library of my own. Just
I have a library.
and
I
my
have
younger daughter's the same.
everywhere.
Right,
Yeah.
let's move on to you, to Angela and your business. So tell us a bit about what you do.
Well, I started out almost 2 decades ago as a certified natural health professional where I learned about the anatomy and the physical body and herbs and the supplements and iridology and holistic healings and all of these kind of things. But then a little bit later, I found out or I discovered energy healing. And it was so amazing because I immediately knew that this was my calling. This is what I was supposed to do. And especially because while I was experiencing my own healing journey and I went through this. So my business focuses most of the time on women that like to release emotional blocks, and they like to heal from their past wounds, past traumas, or anxiety, or overwhelm, or perhaps a current crisis. Or maybe a current crisis, it is triggering something old from way back when they thought they probably have already taken care of this, but maybe not at all, or maybe only just a little bit of it. And then I want for them to get into a place of where they find this inner peace and self-worth and confidence. You know, several years later, after that, after I discovered that, I actually started to learn aromatherapy, which is my second love. That's just what I love to do. And I call it emotional aromatherapy. And the reason being is because everything that I do, it centers around balancing and aligning misplaced emotions and energy. So, well, what is a misplaced emotion? These are basically emotions that are stuck somewhere in our body that our body almost holds hostage. We're hanging on to some old stuff sometimes so tight, or even limited beliefs. And for instance, like perfectionism, guilt, anxiety, or fear of anticipation, fear of waiting for more bad things to happen. And so all of these triggers, they can affect the body and the mind and the spirit. And that is why I offer gentle energy healing sessions. I use the word gentle because years ago when I started with this, people always thought when they work with me, they're going to fall apart and they're just going to be crying. It's not like this. It's a very gentle, methodical process to shift from what was or what is to what can be, to the possibilities that we can have. And during those sessions, we uncover the root causes of what is causing all of this, to really kind of hone in to show the people that they can move on from all of this stuff. We don't have to be stuck in this fight and flight. And a lot of people, they are stuck in this sometimes for decades, and they don't even understand that they've been living in this realm of overcharged energies, and to them they think it's normal, but it's normal because maybe they grew up in a really maybe abusive home, or who knows, dysfunctional home. To them it's normal, but it's really not. And then that is the kind of things that we're kind of honing into. And although we don't see energy, energy is just such a gentle yet profound and amazing healing modality. And I just can't put any more emphasis on that than I just did. So I hope I didn't say too much or too little.
No, he explained it so well, and having experienced one of your sessions, I can say that you explained it so beautifully. And one of the things that I've only come to learn in recent years was the body and the subconscious does cling to these things. And it was a guest on this podcast last year. One of my old friends, she told me about the book The Body Keeps the Score. And I
Love
remember
it.
thinking, what does that mean? The body keeps the score. And it was on my mind for ages, and I still haven't read the book, but it keeps coming up. This theme of things being held and not let go, and energy. And I find the whole concept so fascinating that it just seems to be around my world a lot. And I don't believe in coincidences, so it's obviously something that I need to look at further. But you just mentioned it about it being held in the body. And energy is everything, it's everywhere. And there's always, I've talked at length before about the things that we don't know enough of, and we're curious and we want to learn more about the subconscious. And the work that you do, I think, is just so unbelievably rich and can do so much good. And even just to get someone to address possibly that there are issues with the subconscious, and that they have control over something that they didn't have control of in the past, that
Yes,
they now can control that energy, and they control
yes.
what they do with it in the present to make a better future for themselves. I just loved the whole idea of it. And that's why I was really interested in your business, and why I wanted you on the podcast, so my listeners could hear from themselves, from you, what exactly that all meant.
Can you please repeat that?
That's why I wanted you on the podcast, so
Oh,
the listeners
oh,
could
okay.
hear from
Well,
you, from the
I do
horse's mouth, so to
appreciate
speak.
I do appreciate it, and I love being here. I don't know if you can tell, but this is really my passion. It just never gets old. And empowering women to me is just so beautiful, because I have been through trauma myself, more than what I would like to admit. And you know what? As you can see, this is how you can function. Even when you have had a lot of trauma happening in your life, you can be happy. You can live an amazing life, and you can have a heart full of joy and all of this kind of stuff. Do not have to be defined of about, of all of the things that happened. Not
Yes, that's
not
exactly, yeah, what I was thinking. You don't have to be defined by anything. And
no.
I love that to think that you don't have to let whatever that was define you. No, that is brilliant. So, what was the biggest challenge in building your business that you started 20 years ago, and how did you overcome it? Because I can't imagine it was easy, because the landscape would have been very different 20 years ago when we were talking about what we're talking about now. More people are receptive now, but maybe they weren't 20 years ago.
Well, let me say this. I grew up in Germany, so for whatever reason, we seemed like we were way ahead of a lot of the holistic healing and adding different remedies and kinds of things. So I think this is sort of kind of already in my DNA because I grew up like this. Now, here in the States, it was different. And I remember years ago, I wanted to have a holistic business about 35 years ago. And I was a little bit too timid to start because I wasn't sure if people thought I was just like very odd, very different. But nowadays, people have really come around and they have opened up to so many holistic modalities, including energy healing. So, but I have to say, when I started, the biggest hurdle that I had and that I encountered was trusting myself.
Wow.
That was huge because I had to learn myself to trust my intuition, to really listen to my heart and to tune in to, is this, am I going the right direction or I'm just making this up? And, when you are growing up and you are never validated as a child and you are not encouraged, there are some doubts that can show up. So at the end of the day, I said to myself, you know what, Angela, encourage yourself.
Mhm.
Encourages. Now, I had sessions myself, many, many, many energy healing sessions, but then you come to a point where it's like, you got to energy and you got to help yourself. You got to, pick yourself up and just say, you know what? You know how to do this.
Mhm.
You can do this. It's not just everybody else around you, but you can do this too. So trust yourself. And it seemed like the more I worked with people, the more I realized how deeply I was able to connect with people. And the reason why I found out is because, and it was almost effortlessly to add to, is because clients told me so many times, oh my goodness, you can exactly put into words and explain what we think or what I think and what is on my heart. I am just blown away that you can do this. And so I want to encourage everybody that is listening to the podcast, trust your intuition and go with that. That is one of your gifts, and you may have this really awesome gift. You just have to tap into it.
Mhm. That's so interesting, because another thing that I read recently, a very simple line, and it said, "Your body has the answer." And that stuck in my head as well. And you just said that, your body has the answer. But yeah, trust your intuition. It's there
Yes.
to keep us safe, to warn us, to guide us. It's like that internal guidance system. And
Yes.
and it's never going to let us down, is it? Our intuition. It's there, and we need to tap into a little bit more. I have to take that advice myself. But again, it's just so fascinating, and I'm just so happy for you that you found that that's what it was that guided you on your business. So if you could give yourself one piece of advice when you were starting out, what would it be?
Well, I think the biggest thing ever, and I want your audience and the people that are listening to us really pay attention. I want you to take this home if you don't take anything else home with you. Do not ever compare yourself with someone else. It's not going to work. You're just going to add yourself up in this little ball of you're just going to be emotionally crippled because you want to be just like, now, you want to be like somebody. No. However, we can look up to other people and we can admire them to a point and we can just, use them as role models and all of this. But wanting to be just like that person, no. we all have gifts. We
Mhm.
all have certain things that we were blessed with from the day we were born. And I like to see that everybody is using their gifts because people so often get stuck again in the bad things that happen to them and the old things. And then what they're happening, they're so stuck on what has happened instead of what's going on right now that they are missing their gifts. They're missing to share this mandate or this beautiful again, this gift that they have. And when they get older, I don't want anybody to regret life because they were stuck on their past.
Mhm.
So, don't compare yourself to others. Do you and do it with gusto.
Yeah. That is such good advice. And in the age of social media, and as the mother of two young daughters, I was always careful to get that message across because it's not real. You only see what they want you to see, and I think it's all too easy to compare yourself with what you see on social media. So I've always had that eye, but it's a dangerous path when you fall, when you start going down that road, and it leads to nothing. So that comparison is just if you can embrace that message, I think you'll live a much happier life because it is just a complete waste of time. So, speaking of social media, how comfortable are you with your audience and how comfortable are you showing up with social media? Now, I can't imagine you dancing on social media, but I have seen you doing your lives and they were brilliant. And how comfortable were you doing that?
Totally comfortable. I do not mind being on camera or speaking to people. I mean, I have been doing this for a couple of decades. I had my own workshop and still do to a point. It has slowed down since COVID, so I do more stuff online. But I have been invited to different podcasts. I have been invited to Facebook Lives where people had their VIP groups and sometimes people have hundreds and hundreds of attendees. And what I have noticed is that I find it really easy and effortless to connect with these people because, first of all, they can see me and I can see them. And I prefer to do this than maybe writing emails, although that is okay. But being on social media, as people can get a feel of who Angela really is. They can hear my words, they can hear the tone of my voice, they can connect with my energy, my gestures. So they can just really take in who I really am. And to me, that is almost priceless. And I notice this every time when we do have a live, again, people are like, I want to get a hold of you, or how can we find you, and this and that. And so it is because they can see me, and it's almost like to them, it resonates with the topic perhaps that I share. And, but you also have to be comfortable with the person that you are working with. So it's multifaceted, But no, I'm good. And I just started doing lives on Instagram, and yes, I love it.
And you talked about energy, and I think, that is so brilliant because we've got the technology now to connect with our audience immediately, and they're there, and it's a whole energetic thing. They can see your energy, they can feel your energy, and it's just an amazing thing to be able to do. I'm happier if I'm talking to someone or I'm interacting and I know I'm doing something. I still struggle doing it, if I'm doing it by myself, if I'm recording myself, I love this, when I'm talking and having a conversation because I'm totally in the moment. That's when I'm doing my best work. But sitting down, recording myself, talking about something, that takes a lot of work for me. But I just love being with people and talking with people. That's probably where I'm at my most comfortable. But yeah, you're an absolute natural doing your lives. And, you're just one of these personalities that you just get drawn in. That's what I was doing. I was just, oh, it's Angela. I'm hypnotized.
You're so sweet. Oh,
But yeah, you are an absolute natural. But to have this technology at our fingertips, and it's your personal brand. You're there. It's authentic. This is me right now in this moment live. What you get is what you see. I just love it and love the fact that we don't have makeup artists behind us or people doing our hair or,
all
you know,
natural,
oh,
gray hair.
absolutely
Oh,
au natural. And I just think that, to be living in this era with that ability is utterly
yeah.
fantastic because there's nothing false about it. There's no script here. This is just two people having a chat. And to be able to do that and show up and have that authenticity all the time, because you can't fake this stuff. You can't keep this. You can't sustain this level of fakeness. And that's what I love, that we have this ability as business owners to show up as ourselves every single day. And it's just this. So, to be comfortable in that environment, I think is a true gift to be able to get up and do it. So, well done on you for doing your lives. You absolutely, you rocked it. Well done.
And you know what? Also, with this AI stuff and all of these things right now, anybody nowadays they can write a script and they can write this, but it's different when you connect with people, whether it is in a group or whether it's one-on-one. People just love people are starving to have connections with each other. That is what I'm finding.
And
So
conversations, you strip everything back, strip marketing, branding, everything, take it all away.
yeah,
All, and I know this from my career, all people want to do is have a conversation
yeah,
about whatever it is. And if you think about when you phone, you've got a complaint about your phone line, your internet, all you want to do is have a conversation. And it's the same with us. People love to connect, they love to chat. And I always say, no matter what it is, no matter what the problem is, the minute you look into the whites of someone's eyes, the situation changes. And I'm like the ultimate diplomat. But that is the absolute basics of human communication, isn't it? Having a conversation. And people love to chat. In England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, we chat over a cup of tea and biscuits. That's just what we do.
I love it. Well, I grew up in southern Germany, and yes, that's what we do, especially Saturdays and Sundays in the afternoon. We have coffee or tea and cake or something sweet that is home baked.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
just saying, we don't go and yeah, and I still I'm keeping this up and I still
Yeah.
I still do some baking and I do all of my cooking from scratch most of the time. So, yes.
That's how you show love, isn't it? By baking these things and feeding the people that you love because you've made, it's food, but it's all communication. It's all right back to basics, taking away all the tech, all of this, and I just love that. I just would hate to lose that art and lose it in AI. But all I know is that people love to talk and chat, and we just have to keep that up, keep that natural conversation flowing, and long may it continue. I just love a good natter, as you can tell. That's why I have a podcast.
I got my tea right here.
See, I have my coffee. So what's next for your brand then, Angela? What have you got, anything in the pipeline, or are you going to carry on with the magic that you have?
Well, I do want to carry on with what I do and talk about my sessions that I do with my clients and which I absolutely love and it helps them and I have a lot of beautiful testimonials and such gracious and amazing clients. I just love them. However, I am in the middle of planning group healing sessions and I thought this would be wonderful to add to my portfolio because sometimes people they want to have maybe a session in between the one-on-one sessions. Maybe they had a rough week, or even people that are brand new to energy healing. That would give them the opportunity kind of to see how I work and how to go about energy healing and how to release this in a very, again, gentle way. And so, and then also, I thought about this, maybe having different topics or different themes every single time when there is a healing session. So I can basically use this for the whole entire group. For instance, if somebody struggles with perfectionism, that is going to be the theme. And then we're going to work on on perfectionism or feeling guilty. A lot of people that I work with, they tell me about the Catholic guilt. People
Oh, it's very real.
is it real? Oh, people tell me about this all the time.
That's
I'm not Catholic, so I don't know. But if I would get a quarter every single time somebody has told me this, and I have done thousands and thousands of sessions, right? I would be rich right now. And I was like, okay, we need to have a session. In fact, my Instagram, I actually talked about guilt. There are some little videos, some reels on there that people can check out. So yes, I figured that maybe doing working on boundaries or fear of anticipation and those kind of things. But then I also want to expand the self-help um, um, how shall I say, offers that I have in my shop on my website. So right now I have about 15 different sets of beautiful, I call them declarations. A lot of people say affirmations. So it really doesn't matter, but they are very specific. They're geared around a specific topic. And so I want to add more to it. I also want to add more I'm in the middle of writing a book on chakras and the aromatherapy that goes with it, that matches. So all of our chakras can be aligned and the essential oils that they can diffuse. And I'm giving people all of the recipes and all of this kind of stuff. It's all of this is going to be in the book. It's almost finished. And then I also have a um, a little a journal. Like I started with writing one journal on self-worth, and I want to write more of that, and then do some more workshops. So in a nutshell, I want to just add all of like more of one thing and adding a couple new things.
Oh, that just sounds incredible. I love it. And where can we find more about you online? What's your website?
So my website is angelasantiago.com.
Hmm.
And so people can go on there, they can check out what I have to offer if they would like to work with me. But I have a little gift. Anybody that is interested, they can go on my website on the first page and scroll all the way to the very end. And I have I call it a SOS self-help script. So when you have a day where you don't feel so good and you feel like you're going like down the spiral, you can access that. You can print it. You can put it in your purse. You can have it next to your computer, and it really helps you to come out of that whatever state that you're in really, really quick. Now, I also we can have a link maybe later on that you can place
Yes, I'll
wherever
put it on the show notes. Yeah,
in the
I'll
show
put the link
notes.
in the
And
show
then
notes.
also,
Yeah.
if anybody is interested, we can also, if that's okay with you, maybe add my 20-minute chat. If anybody wants to chat with me, you know, and it's free. I would love to hear from you. And so, yeah. And if anybody is able, wants to work with me, again, check out my website. And yeah, that's pretty much all.
Yeah, I highly recommend a chat with Angela and just to find out more about it. And I love that you're doing your book and you've got all these things and it's just fascinating even to find out more about it. And if you're already in that world, obviously go to as well, but to find out a lot more about it. Well, we're at the end of the podcast. Thank you so much for joining me, Angela. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. So fascinating as all our chats always are. But thank you so much for joining me.
Absolutely. It was just so lovely being here. Thank you for having me on here. And just, again, you're just so lovely. And I'm so glad you enjoyed this session that we had together.
Thank you.